All right, the recording started.
Now at my bobblehead dashboard monk that I just bought for a friend of mine. And I got myself a bobblehead Jesus.
Are you gonna keep it, or are you gonna give it to the friend? Because that's a pretty amazing token.
The bobblehead Jesus, I'm totally keeping.
Oh wait. So you have a bobblehead Jesus, and you're giving the bobblehead monk to a friend?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I bought bobblehead Jesus for myself. Like, I don't want to impose my shit on other people. God forbid. So, I think it's funny.
That's amazing.
I'm gonna call him baby. I'm just gonna call him sweet little baby Jesus.
All right. Quick introduction before we go on about the bobbleheads. This is Dan Patinkin with StudioMMA.com, and on the podcast today we have the amazing Katee Sackhoff. Welcome, Katee.
Thank you.
So, Katee and I are already talking about some random stuff, including bobbleheads and laundry. Where were we?
I was talking about my bobblehead Jesus that I've decided to call Hey Baby Jesus.
Are you a religious person, or you just like Jesus, or you just like seeing a long-haired, bearded guy on a bobblehead?
Listen, long-haired, bearded guy on a bobblehead is kind of funny. But I think that I was raised Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I have, regardless of what I am now, I have some sort of spirituality to myself. I don't know what it is. I think that,
I was raised somewhat Catholic. My dad is Jewish. My mom's Catholic. My grandma was like the most Catholic woman ever. But
your mom won.
Well, I mean, in the Jewish culture, you're only really raised Jewish, I believe, if your mother is Jewish.
Okay.
I think that's how it works. So, I mean, I was kind of raised Catholic. I think we went to church like once a year, every once in a while. I went to a Catholic high school, but I think about 10% of the students there were 10 or 15% were non-Christian, like Jewish and Muslim and Hindu, et cetera. So
the Catholic school where I grew up, Jesuit, you just went there if you had money.
Oh, I went to.
That was like the deal. Like, I don't think anybody was Catholic that went there.
No, I went to a Jesuit high school, and like I didn't come from a wealthy family, but it was not cheap. What was yours called?
Really? Our Jesuit.
It was called Jesuit High School?
It was literally just called Jesuit High School. And I think that every single person that went to the public schools were like, F those Jesuit kids and their privileged upbringing.
That's hilarious. F the Jesuits.
And then they tried to recruit me for swimming, and I was like, but you actually don't have a good swim team. Why would I come there? Kind of interesting. So we went to the public school where my parents were like, we're not spending money on your education. You can...
How generous.
I know. I think that that might have bit them in the ass, actually, that decision. So, I don't know.
So Katee went to public school. Her parents, she claims, did not care about her.
I think that my parents kind of knew that my brother and I were not good students, and they were like, "We're not wasting our money."
Right? They could tell that by the age of 4. They're like, she's eating the glue and the crayons.
Well, my brother was. My brother was the kid that honestly, I thought it was always just a joke that kids picked daisies in the baseball field. My brother actually did that. So, and then there's me who would just beat everybody up on the field. So I think my parents gave up. They were like,
they're like, we got some blue collar children here. You grew up in Oregon, correct?
I did. We were born in St. Helens, Oregon,
mm-hmm.
kind of right close to Mount Rainier in Washington.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we were, I think I was 12, maybe I was 9, I don't remember. We moved to Portland, I think, because my parents, the town was a really small town. My dad was born and raised there, and when Portland was only 30 minutes away, I think they were kind of like, let's give our kids the big city life, which is Portland. Big city life, 2 million people, by the way.
So were you kind of granola before you came to LA, or what was your style?
I was really, really, really sheltered kid. And by not sheltered, my brother and I drank and we did stupid stuff, but we were actually the kids that parents didn't want their children hanging out with, which I find very funny.
That's terrible.
Because my parents were like, if you get drunk, call us.
Right.
They really meant it, they were just very, very strict parents, but at the same time, they were like, you're going to screw up. We
right.
know this. please include us in all the screw-ups so we know how to help you. It's hard to do that. I think it takes a lot of trust in yourself as a parent and in your children to allow them to fuck up.
I know nothing about parenting. Now, you're not a parent, are you? Or are you?
Oh, no. Thank God.
Yeah, I know nothing about parenting, but every once in a while, I don't know why I start thinking about it. I'm like, if at some point I have a child and, that kid's in high school, am I just going to like, my parents were kind of like, don't you dare do anything. Or am I going to be the parent who says, you know what, I know you're going to do stuff, just don't do the really bad stuff?
Yeah, and my parents didn't say you could do it. We just did it anyway, and they didn't. We got grounded, and we got in trouble, but they never judged us. Like, they kind of let us, like I said, they let us make mistakes. And I used to always say that to my mom, like, you can tell me what to do till you're blue in the face, and you can tell me that you've made the mistakes, but I'm always going to make the mistake anyway.
Yeah, you want to see for yourself.
Yeah, and I did. Like, I made a lot of mistakes, but when I moved to California, I was like a very, very good girl. Like, I mean, and by good girl, I mean, I smoked and I drank occasionally, but I'd never done drugs. Like, I was a good kid. Like, I was like Abercrombie Fitch cut out of catalogs sent to California.
And that was at what age?
18.
18. So did you ever go to college or no?
No, I didn't.
So you kind of went straight into professional acting.
I did. Because my parents, like, they basically, like, they said to me, what do you want to do? And from the time I was 16, I started saving money to move. And it was this very weird thing that happened because in Oregon, like, I didn't even realize what hockey was growing up.
Weird.
But we had a WHL team in Portland, so the Winter Hawks. So the boys were like between I think like 15 to like 21, and so they went to high school, and so like 6 of these boys went to my high school, and I ended up dating one of them for about 4 years. And what happened because of that was because I had this kid that was a year older than me, who I'm still very good friends with. He plays for Boston. He's amazing. I saw somebody my age succeed.
Right.
And do something that like on paper was impossible.
Yeah.
And so it gave me this kind of drive and courage to drop everything I knew, move to California and say, this is what I'm going to do. And had I not dated Andrew, it never would have happened.
That's so funny. I mean, that's such a, I think about that all the time. The importance, I mean, it sounds kind of lame, but the importance of believing in yourself and it's in a way, like you're saying, it's kind of learned. You have to see somebody else do it and be like, oh my God, if I actually work hard, that's awesome.
You have to see a peer do it. As much as your parents tell you that you're fantastic, you're this, you're that.
You can be the president and all that, yeah.
I mean, they're paid to do that. They're hoping that their investment pays off. But to see somebody your age actually succeed
totally
is the most amazing confidence builder and drive that you could possibly ever imagine.
Oh, yeah.
And so to see Andrew get drafted at 18 and like to live this life that I was, that had the pleasure of kind of like going along with him was just this, it was like, well, if you can do it, I can do it.
Yeah. And the other thing I think about is I have this motto that I say to people sometimes, which is basically with every person that you meet, the potential for your future is reborn, and what you're saying is, his name is Andrew. Like, had you never met Andrew, who knows what you'd be doing right now?
Yeah, it's a very, very weird thing. And like, I think that people, and now when you tell adults, they're like, well, of course it makes sense that a successful actress was hanging out with a professional hockey player. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
We were 15.
Right.
Like, it's just birds of a feather flock together.
Yeah.
I met a person with drive, I had drive, and we, kind of went together. So it's an interesting thing, I moved to Los Angeles, and I got my first acting job, I think, 4 months later. And I met my best girlfriend, who was 5 years older than me and from Long Island. And this girl, my parents, she was their worst nightmare. And she kind of like, I copied everything she did. And then as soon as I got to an extreme, she kind of like gave me this like parent speech where she was like, now find yourself. Now we've broken you out of this box.
Right,
Now
right.
figure out who you are. So I kind of did, I met this kid who, like, breakdanced under bridges in Long Island when she was, like, 15.
And what does she do now?
She's an actress still.
Awesome.
She just got married. She's living the normal life now. Like,
Gotcha.
She kind of, like, I think she saw what this was and was like, I am not going to do this anymore.
And how'd you guys meet? Acting class?
We did a pilot together. No.
Okay, gotcha.
We just, my first job was a pilot, and it didn't get picked up, but I met her and Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad. We're on the TV show, and Alex Breckenridge. So I think every single one of us is still kind of working.
All right, hang on one second. Aaron Paul, which guy is he in Breaking Bad?
The son. The one who won it. He won an Emmy.
The amazing, like, Walter White's partner?
Yes.
That guy's a genius.
I've never seen the show, but yes.
You've never seen the show?
No.
He's kind of, he's kind of scrawny a little bit.
Yes, that's Aaron.
That guy is a genius. That show is amazing.
Aaron Paul, he's a phenomenal actor. So it was me and Aaron Paul, and then Alex Breckenridge, who actually just played the maid on American Horror Story.
Gotcha.
So she's pretty phenomenal too. So it was a good group of kids.
Awesome. So you did the pilot. It didn't get picked up. I want to talk. I want to talk about the stuff you're doing now, but I was doing some research, and there's a number of things that you kind of got involved with that either didn't get picked up or were cut short. Those experiences, I saw Lost and Found and Boston's Finest. How did that affect what you do, and what choices you make?
You don't learn what you don't want until you figure it out, or what you do want until you figure out what you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
And I constantly say that I'm on the 20-year extended plan of my career, because people, they're constantly saying to me, wow, like, you came out of nowhere. And I'm like, actually, I've been doing this since I was 17.
Right.
You don't know who I am. Right. So it's I don't know, Lost and Found was a great project with Brian Cox, whom I love, and phenomenal actor. Didn't get picked up, but gave me the opportunity to do 24.
Gotcha.
So at that point in my life, I really just wanted to be in LA.
Mm-hmm.
I'd been in Vancouver for 6 years for Battlestar. I'd just gotten really sick, got through all my health stuff,
mm-hmm.
and just wanted to be in LA.
Right.
So when that show didn't get picked up, 24 was perfect. It was right there. And, and then you take away things from every job that you did, and Freddie Prinze Jr. and I we're really good friends, and so from that job came that friendship. So
awesome.
And then Boston's Finest didn't get picked up, but it's a blessing. It's a total blessing.
Yeah.
Like had Boston's Finest gotten picked up, like, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. I wouldn't have. It didn't get picked up, and I had a year and a half free to do nothing but film. So it's just, things happen for the weirdest reasons, and you don't understand why they happen until, you don't know for sure why everything happens till the end of your life.
Right. Looking back, you are where you are because of what happened, good and bad, right?
For sure. Yeah. For sure. You keep making the same mistakes until you actually make the right choice, actually,
right.
Which is interesting, too. That's what my mom used to tell me, and she's actually right.
We haven't even mentioned this. I'm not going to get into it too much because I'm sure that you are exhausted of Battlestar interviews. But Katee was the star of Battlestar Galactica, and is worshipped by millions of primarily nerds and lesbians, and also regular TV fans. Actually, Battlestar is probably my favorite series of all time.
It was pretty phenomenal, yeah. Pretty phenomenal show.
And she's on to more things now. Growl is a film that you wrapped, right?
No, Growl is a film that's still kind of like in the works, getting figured out.
Gotcha.
I just finished the Chronicles of Riddick.
Chronicles of Riddick is wrapped. Okay, and that's with Vin Diesel.
Yeah. That was wrapped with Vin Diesel. And then I did a movie before that called Sexy Evil Genius,
mm-hmm.
With Seth Green and Michelle Trachtenberg.
Awesome.
Which was really fun.
Did that get released?
Not yet. It's coming out soon.
Okay, cool.
But it was my first, like, female kiss, which of course my fans are like, sure it was, sweetheart. But it was, and she she was very excited about it. She kept running up to me all day long, grabbing my boobs and shaking them and going, "You are going to make out!" I was like, oh my God, somebody help me from this child. What is going on?
At what minute and second in the movie is that kiss, just so people listening can...
Right? I don't know. They're going to have to watch the whole thing. It's in the middle somewhere. I don't know for sure. And then I did a movie called Haunting in Georgia with Chad Michael Murray and Abigail Spencer. That should be coming out soon as well.
And of course, Longmire now. Longmire, now that's been picked up by A&E. Is there going to be a season on television? How does that work?
Yeah, no, it's been picked up. We're actually on episode 5. I'm calling you from Santa Fe, New Mexico, actually.
When's the premiere?
June 3rd, 10 o'clock.
June 3rd, 10 o'clock, A&E. And can you tell us a little bit about Longmire and your character?
Yeah. It's pretty much your quintessential, like, Western, I think. I play a character named, and my East Coast accent comes into play as soon as I start talking about her. But her name is Victoria Moretti, and she's this little Italian Spitfire that moves to Wyoming from Philadelphia and joins the police force, basically. And
she's like a former mafia wife?
Right? No, she comes from an entire family of police officers, and she's one of the clan, and she basically sees something, is involved in something, and her father basically says to her, it would be very wise of you to get out of Philadelphia.
Gotcha.
And so she follows her husband to Wyoming. He's in kind of the electrical gas business, I guess. She follows him there and gets bored and goes and applies to be a deputy. Even though she's got 6 years of experience in homicide in Philadelphia, she's kind of the bottom rung deputy in Absaroka County, Wyoming.
She works under Sheriff Longmire?
She works under Sheriff Longmire, who is played by Robert Taylor, this really cool Australian guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's me and Lou Diamond Phillips and Bailey Chase, who was on Saving Grace, and then Robert. So it's the 4 of us.
Are there any major themes or arcs that you can mention, or is that all proprietary secrets at this point?
No, it's basically it's the show takes place kind of, if anyone knows Wyoming and actually New Mexico and Arizona as well, there's a lot of reservation land, and coming from a sheriff's department, your hands are tied a lot of the times. You don't have a lot of authority on the reservations, and the authority you do have, you kind of have to ask permission for. So it's kind of it's interesting, and it's all about them trying to weave their way through this kind of territory to actually impose the law.
We haven't talked about a lot of the stuff that our fan base wants to hear about, which is your interest in MMA.
Your fan base is like, when is this bitch going to talk about fighting?
Dude, don't worry. There's plenty of total geeks, including myself, who are listening to this. I'm sure they loved like every minute so far.
Well, anyone who knows Josh Barnett knows that he's a big fan of science fiction and anime and kind of that whole world, and so it kind of makes complete sense that he and I are,
How did you guys? The reason I know you're linked up with him is because you took over his Twitter one day.
I did.
When he was fighting, I think.
I did, and the funniest part for me was when people didn't realize that it was me tweeting, and they honestly thought that like Josh was like in the ring fighting, talking about the ring girl's ass. Like I was like, this is fantastic. Like I love the fact that they think that this is him.
Right. He had like some kind of like Bluetooth going on or something.
Yeah, it was exactly. It was my whole like goal in life when I'm usually associated with Josh, and the things that we choose to do together is just to not embarrass the living shit out of him. We did the Bull Run Rally as well together, where I was the only woman on a team of mixed martial artists, and my goal was just to not embarrass them like terribly and just not come in last. So
wait, is the Bull Run Rally a car race? What is it?
It is a car race. Well,
yeah.
No, it's a rally. You're not allowed to call it a race, like I think legally, but it's from Las Vegas to Miami, and I did the first leg, and my goal was just to not come in last. And I think that me and Stan, who's the rep from Toyo Tires, we started in, I think, 14th or 12th, and we ended the day in 14th. Or we started in 14th, ended in 12th. So I did really good, and there were like 75 cars, and I was like going really, really stupid fast, and I talked my way out of a ticket, and it was very impressive, and like Josh was really proud of me. He's like, "That's my girl."
And how did you and Josh meet originally?
Josh actually met some of the guys from Battlestar because we trained MMA a lot. Well, we trained in all different sorts of fighting for Battlestar.
Right.
Most of my training was boxing and Krav Maga.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the boys went to one of Josh's fights. And that's sort of how we kind of all met. And then I introduced Josh to my manager. So we actually have the same manager now as well.
Right. That's hilarious because I called your manager to get this interview because I knew Josh was coming up, and I'm like, oh, let's get Katee, and I'm talking to him. I'm like, yeah, she's a big MMA fan, knows Josh Barnett. He's like, I rep Josh Barnett too. So I'm
laughing, going, no shit, dude.
Yeah.
Josh is for anyone who knows Josh is like he's such a personable person.
Oh yeah.
That everyone who meets him loves him, and so he's got sections of friends like kind of all over the world.
Right.
Where it makes no sense if you look at it on paper, but when you meet Josh, you go, now it makes complete sense. And you speak Japanese, of course you do.
Yeah, he's hilarious. I think he's I think he's the funniest personality in professional MMA.
I think so too. And I think that early in his career he got a lot of flack because I think people took a lot of his shit seriously. But I think when you get to know him, you realize that half of the things that Josh says are completely tongue in cheek, and he's just having fun with everybody.
Oh yeah, I think when he beat, who did he beat? He beat Sergey Kartanov, I think, and then
when he grabbed the mic.
Yeah, and he said something like
kind of in my pants.
He said something like, I'm going to pile up a bunch of like skulls and be standing on top. Was that what it was?
I don't know. I think he said he's going to eat somebody too.
Right. It was like he's like, I'm going to like make a pile of human skulls and light it on fire, and I'll be standing there with the belt or something. It was the greatest thing ever.
I don't even remember what he said, but I was standing there with his mother just shaking my head laughing. Just laughing. And looking at Leland like hoping to God that like, this is okay, right? That was pretty funny actually.